Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. LCK Summer 2020. I'm Atlas, joined by LS, and we have wasted absolutely no time this time. We're getting straight into the hype matches. DRX versus T1 will be our first huge matchup. I mean, I think Sandbox versus Afrika is a good one, but it's not necessarily the title match. And DRX versus T1, this is the big one.
Yeah, this is absolutely going to be the big one. And there's probably not a better second series to kick off day one in the LCK Summer kickoff than this matchup, because DRX, they can bring a lot of action. And then T1, obviously the returning champions from spring, and we'll see how they manage to actually fare here in this series against DRX. And again, both of these teams just played in Mid-Season Cup. They've been very active throughout the month of May. And Mid-Season Cup wasn't too long ago, Atlas. So
no, it wasn't. Don't
everything's probably still fresh for them in terms of the meta.
That the wounds are still open. Is that what you're saying? But yeah, certainly these are the teams that have had more experience. I'm glad we skipped over that. I'm sorry for bringing it up once again, like we did in the previous series. But yeah, we're going to go through the points of the match here to start this one up. And could you turn on the lights? Need to watch the LCK big match on the first day. Stay tuned. Certainly is a big match to close out our first day. But DRX have to face T1 and then Gen G. So if they can be successful in these first two matches, momentum for DRX in round one will be gigantic. So this is actually really, really huge. But they do have to come out of the gate swinging. It might be the moment that you can take down T1, though. They are a slow-moving team that generally gets better and better.
Yeah.
As a tournament goes on, as the season goes on, and even as a series goes on. So talking about game ones is actually going to be really interesting, because you could almost predict that DRX is able to take it, because they are very good straight out of the gate.
And one of the things I'm really curious about is what is going to happen in tonight's series, because obviously one of the things that we talked about in the previous series was that Chovy in the last couple of weeks has actually been primarily playing jungle in solo queue, and I wonder if that is alluding to anything. We'll have to find out.
You have to remember that their only sub is in mid lane. And also their best player is, well, I guess Carrier does deserve a vote there, but I think Chovy is still their star player. And you're not going to sub him out. Quad's pretty good, though. So maybe you find any weak point of the team, and you take them out and replace them with Chovy. That's probably better.
Well, by the way, these two teams are 21-21.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So no matter what, the tiebreak will happen here tonight. Spring match history, T1 winning 2-1, 2-0, and then 3-1 over DRX.
It was actually the closest final. If we remember back to the spring playoffs, DRX actually, there were some sort of heartbreaking moments for them in that series, and were unable to really come back in there. And I think a lot of people thought that they might have been able to put up a little bit more of a show, maybe get us to more than that 4 games. But did better than Gen G. So we'll see whether they are going to be able to prove themselves as a worthy candidate for taking down T1 and their reign over the LCK that has been prevalent for quite some time now.
Well, we shall see indeed what is going to end up happening here in tonight's series. DRX is going to be starting on the blue side, T1 on red, and the scary thing for me is
이번 MSC에서 저희가 아쉽게 떨어졌는데 MSC 경험을 바탕으로 열심히 준비하고 있는 것 같습니다.
MSC 떨어지고 나서 비원딜에 대한 생각을 좀 더 하게 됐고
MSC는 MSC고 다음 LCK를 준비하는 방향으로
열심히 하자 생각합니다.
대진 짬분이 좀 늦긴 한데
그래도 LCK 강팀 연속 만나는 게 재밌을 것 같아요.
그때 플레이오프 때 도란 선수를 솔킬 4번 따서
나가기 전에 그냥
그때부터 심리적으로나 멘탈적으로 좀 많이 흔들리면서 게임한 것 같아요.
저희가 시즌 끝나고 한번 회식을 했었는데 그때 너무 미안하다고 그게 진짜 정말 진심으로 다 전달이 돼서
저와 감독님 숙제 받고 솔랭 열심히 했거든요. 그래서 솔킬 딸만 하지 않을까.
저한테 쇼킬 4번 따이셨는데 이번에도 한번 기대하시는 게 좋을 것 같아요.
도란 선수의 경험치통은 끝도 없기 때문에
저는 잘 모르겠습니다.
스프링 우승하시고 좀 어깨가 올라가신 것 같은데 제가 내려드리겠습니다.
유준아 화이팅.
잘해줄 거라 믿습니다. 이 찬동이.
핵심 라인은 미드 원딜인 것 같습니다.
어차피 그 지방에는 좀 관심이 없어서
미드가 페이커고 미드가 톱인데 당연히 관심이 있어야지.
조이 선수가 굉장히 라인전도 탄탄하게 하면서 딜링도 되게 잘하기 때문에 잘 묶어둬야지 게임을 쉽게 승리할 수 있지 않을까 생각하고 있어요.
에포트 선수가 미드 가지도 못할 것 같아요. 저한테 맡겨서.
저랑 조이 선수랑 스타일이 다르기 때문에 재밌는 구도가 될 것 같아요.
저도 뭐 한두 번 붙는 것도 아니니까 이제 저는 딱히 큰 상관없는 것 같아요.
승부차가 된다면은 미드 정글 싸움을 이기거나 바텀의 후반 캐리인데 테이 선수가 LCK에서 저는 진짜 최고로 잘하는 원거리라고 생각하고 데프트 선수 상대로도 매번 좋은 모습 보여줘서
저희 형이 무딜링, 아니 무딜링이 딜링 뭐지? 무어 딜링? 무어 딜링. 숨 안 쉬고 게임하면 저희 데프 선수가 더 잘할 것 같습니다. 수원한테 스프링에서 한 번도 못 이겼고 경계되는 팀 중 하나이기 때문에
되게 빨리 복수할 기회가 온 것 같아서 이번 기회에 다시 복수하고 싶습니다.
계속 만났을 때 저희가 계속 이겼으니까 이번에도 한번 이기고 싶네요.
첫 경기인 만큼 반드시 이겨야겠다는 생각을 가지고 있고요. 지난 스프링처럼 이번에도 강팀들 상대로 많이 이길 수 있게 열심히 준비하겠습니다.
Them's were some fighting words, LS. Especially Chovy saying that he doesn't even think about a matchup against Faker anymore. That was felt like that was a bit of an oof. Certainly, these two teams with a lot of history against one another, and these players as well. I mean, remember, Chovy versus Deft was a thing. KT versus Griffin in that final in 2018. Chovy versus Faker has been a thing for a really long time, especially during last year when it was Griffin who were very, very good at regular season. And then, of course, T1 wiping the floor with them when it came to any sort of best of 5. So there are just stories throughout this matchup that are really, really interesting. But this newcomer towards the top lane certainly seemed confident moving into this one. And maybe, just maybe, Doran's experience grind has really helped him out as far as not getting solo killed 4 times.
Well, we'll see what they can manage to do here. It is going to be Cuz starting off here today in set 1, at least.
Yep, no Ellen this time around. Teddy and Effort with a whole lot of extra synergy, as Effort has gone blonde as well. The way of Mystic seems to be a thing for people in the bottom lane. They just like to follow his hairstyle. And doing pretty well there is Effort, but this is going to be our key matchup. Bottom lane, Deft versus Teddy. This is one we've spoken about so many times. Both of them. Been playing for a very long time, but this is what you were talking about. 21 versus 21. This is since 2017.
Yeah.
And they are locked in a dead heat between these two players.
And you take a look at the champions, I mean, they share 2 that are both, respectively, their most played. So, Varus probably going to get banned away here, as well as Ezreal.
Oh, yes.
And honestly, I don't expect to see Ashe or Xayah, so I'm curious what else is going to go on. Obviously, Kalista is a champion that could be considered. Deft has been playing some unusual champions in solo queue. I believe he played a fasting Nocturne game.
Fasting Nocturne?
Yeah, he fasted Nocturne.
Is that because he was playing so much Kalista?
Nocturne.
He was playing so much Kalista?
The other person played Senna, so...
No, if you play Kalista too long, people just pick Nocturne into you and you just have a really awful time. So maybe he had that time and was like, well, I'm playing Nocturne then.
Well,
just feed me in the bottom lane.
We will see if anything super peculiar comes out here today. Now, the thing that I am super worried about is that DRX is... They're on the side of very... trying to think of how to word this, Atlas.
See, I know
they're on a
you are.
clock. They're on a clock with a lot of their team comms. They are literally under pressure from the second the draft ends.
Yep, they need
to make something happen.
They need someone to get to a Nexus. It doesn't matter whose Nexus it is. They're either going to get there really quickly or their opponent's going to get to theirs. What I think you're trying to say is they are sinners.
They are.
And they have certainly been doing that a lot. And I actually quite like the DRX style with the fact that they put on pressure in every single lane, buys space for Pyosik to get around the map. Unfortunately, Pyosik doesn't necessarily use that time and space well enough, or didn't in the past.
You know, I haven't seen an X-Pack for World of Warcraft, so he's been working on it real hard.
He's been getting into them Shadowlands, don't you worry.
You might have a best in slot in several locations right now.
He's farmed all the right corruptions and stuff. Not that I play retail or anything like that, but CV Max, that man there on your screen. I believe there was another coach promoted up beside him as well, so they've got a little bit more staff behind them.
Alice.
Yeah, man.
When it goes back to the DRX shirts, notice their cacao sponsorship. They have Ryan on their shoulder.
Goodness.
Yeah, he's very adorable.
Papa Smithy would be very, very jealous.
Yeah,
he was the most gigantic Ryan fan ever.
Yeah, honestly, I'm jealous.
I know.
Oh, there it is.
Oh my god.
Look at it. Look at how cute it is.
And Deft is super cute, just as is his alpaca self. And now he's also got Ryan on his jacket.
You are literally farming Kappa Prides.
That's just so much.
I don't even know what is going on.
You got a spare shirt at home, actually?
I do not.
Dang it. All right. Well, I think we're taking a little bit of extra time getting into this one. There's some conversations to be had, but I have a feeling that Champion Select is just around the corner. As Teddy's looking pretty angry at the moment.
And we'll see what ends up happening in the draft phase. I think that being on red side should be beneficial for T1.
Yep.
And, well,
it's very loud.
Very loud.
I can feel it in my
Felt like
feet.
I was at a concert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what happens when we're back at LOL Park, everyone. The audience isn't.
Those jerseys are very nice.
It's super cool.
Actually, I really like the aesthetics. I like the color scheme. I like everything, actually. Right now, this is my favorite jersey.
Yep. Well, we'll see whether we can get you one with Chovy on the back, because that sounds like it's probably going to be your style. As Callista, the champion that we were talking about for a little bit of time, is going to be the first ban here on blue side by DRX. T1 are going to ban Varus and Syndra, but then we'll see what interesting ban comes in after that.
We'll see probably Ezreal and maybe even Aladios banned away on red side.
Pretty standard stuff here as the set does get removed as well. Flex ban. Ezreal taken off the board. So Felios, his stock is rising.
And see what DRX are going to elect to do. This is going to be one of the more free bans. They could ban Gragas here if they don't want to play it. That would certainly be an option. No, it's going to be LeBlanc.
Faker's LeBlanc taken off the board. I think Gragas is a huge one to bring up.
Yeah.
Cuz is definitely our best Gragas jungle in the league. And we know T1 have a penchant for playing it in the bottom lane as well, whether it makes you happy or sad. Bit of a solo queue update. You were talking about Deft just before. I had a little bit of a gander. He's currently ranked 19. Not doing too badly whatsoever, but his Callista win rate is out of control recently. And certainly his KDA, things like that. So we'll see what he's going to be able to do on the Aladios in 200 years' time.
Well, Wukong now being hovered. Oh, Ornn. Warwick.
Ahaha.
That's not a...
That's a champion that's never been banned in League of Legends.
Show me the Volibear.
In LCK.
Show me the 6'11" hotfix Volibear.
Oh, baby.
That would be good. But no, we're not going to get it.
What about the Fiddlesticks?
Randomly get a Trundle by T1. Trundle blind, and Yummy is probably what T1's thinking as they manage to get their hands on Yuumi. So that is already pretty scary.
And there are so many different options that Teddy can go towards as well, and Yuumi just makes it more difficult to deal with. But with Ezreal not there, certainly are some other options, as Nidalee's going to be locked in. And DRX now with a lot of range behind them. We saw Nidalee absolutely pop off
Right.
in the mid-season cup.
And it's going to be really interesting to see if Pioshek's going to manage to pilot it. Nidalee feels like a bit of a trap. We've seen it, actually, in other regions already in 2020. And she is so hard to pilot and make work. You have to really be on top of your game in order to reap the benefits that she offers as a champion when you are playing her at a high enough level. And I want to say the last player that played her in LCK was Cuz, actually.
Yeah, I think it might have been.
I think it was.
It's hard because we do have like promotion tournaments, mid-season cups, things like that, but I think in the LCK you might be right. It's Misfortune. Next cab off the rank is going to be paired with Yuumi. The final time, or the bullet chapter? Bullet chapter's probably better, right?
The Lost Bullet?
Lost Bullet.
Dang, it sounds like a Pirate of the Caribbean.
Yeah. Speaking of Pirates of the Caribbean, Pirate's going to be banned here. Is Pike taken away from Carrier?
So Pike is taken off the table. And the interesting thing here is that DRX, so they opened with B1 Aphelios. T1 potentially punt it away with a Trundle, but then they pick it up with a Yuumi. And now DRX is pretty mobile with their champions. They have the split push power as well with the Twisted Fate. Nidalee, we're going to have to see how Pioshek manages to pilot it in this game. But as we move into the second ban phase, Azir does get taken away. It is a very good champion against Twisted Fate.
True.
And Syndra is already removed from the table.
Do we want... What do you think would be better? If Faker played Diana or Fizz? I want to see one of those.
Fizz and Yuumi?
Oh my god.
I don't even know what that's like.
Sounds awful. Sounds like a lot of untargetableness.
Interestingly enough, Fizz is actually pretty good against Nidalee, TF, and Aphelios.
Yeah.
Just in general, although I am very doubtful that we would see her here.
Well, we'll see what Teddy's going to lock away. Might just be a comfortable top laner for Canna and then save Faker's pick for last. But instead, thinking about locking away mid lane. Of course, with TF already shown, it does make some sense. Allow Canna to get a better matchup, as this is an old Faker favorite.
Might be Lulu mid.
I think some Faker. Oh no, it's not going to be. But certainly is another legacy Faker champion in the Orianna. This is something that he made people very, very scared of years back. I believe 2015 and 2013 were certainly years of Faker destroying people with Orianna. Carrier thinking about going towards the Bard, but instead, boring might be the case, and it is. Nautilus is locked away there. Nautilus Aphelios. We saw Gorilla have some decent times, but honestly, it was relatively forgettable. Still, it's just going to be solid down there towards the bottom side and allow them to have some sort of peel and frontline.
And there
surprise,
it is.
Surprise, everyone.
There's the Sin. Finally coming in at the very bottom. And so DRX, yet again, with a team composition that really needs to get ahead of its opponents. It's on a clock. It's on a timer. They do this pretty much every time. And it's happened too consistently over so many months and years that it obviously is a philosophy approach to the game. But every time they collide with top-tier teams, it ends up not being enough. Just having Lane Kingdom does not always equate to closing out the game. There's a lot more to the game than just laning phase, but also you can simultaneously win laning phase and outscale your opponent, which is what T1's actually going to do in top lane with the Ornn.
Yeah, that's the sad thing.
And on top of that, Faker on the Orianna, same exact thing against the Twisted Fate. All of the pressure right now on DRX is actually on Pioshek to try to somehow finagle advantages for his teammates or create enough pressure and give them the freedom in order to get ahead, because otherwise, T1, the responsibility isn't on them. T1 have a bomb building that is their team composition at 2+ items forward. They'll very easily win team fights, and that's just really, really scary.
This does go back to what we were talking about in our first series tonight, where Fly was playing the Twisted Fate. I think that the first Destiny is going to be even more important than that one was. Chovy needs to utilize that to get this team ahead and allow them to snowball, exactly like you were talking about. But it is just extraordinarily pivotal, and I don't even know whether it's going to be enough, because the teamfight composition out of T1 is just obscene. Ridiculous amounts of utility, CC, and AoE damage coming out of this squad. We'll see whether DRX can pull themselves together. That's exactly the comp we were expecting. Whether it's good, we'll have to find out right now as we are onto the rift for game number 1, DRX versus T1.
And the one thing that I will point out is that Atrox is using the Prestige Edition skin.
Ooh, that's definitely some points.
So yeah, even in defeat, he will still be able to at least console himself by knowing that his skin was better than his opponent's.
Yep, that's very true. Very, very true. Currently, On making his way down. I think Cannon may have just gone base skin, which just allows Doran to be even further ahead in the matchup, which is quite impressive. Yep, it is just base On. Cuz, though, he has taken the traditional Trundle, which is 100% the best.
And paying attention to the early game, we have to watch all eyes on Nidalee for her pathing. And then how efficient is Pyosik going to be? Also, Pyosik has Conqueror here on Nidalee.
A little bit more brawly, I guess.
Yeah.
To go up against Cuz, who's taken Predator. Not going to go press the attack or anything like that for the dueling. The Prowling Projectile will find Deft. Effort gets the first bit of damage. A bit of a leash here. Doran just to help out with Pyosik's jungle at the very beginning. I wonder whether that means he's going to start moving in to the enemy jungle a little bit faster. You saw Canna just doing his best to get in a position to see whether there is any early invades. Wasn't happening, and both top laners are just going to meet in lane as Deft fighting against Teddy here, but it is going to be relatively rough. That's an immediate exhaust, though, as the concussive blows come out. Another exhausting answer there as Deft trying to kite this one back, and I don't know whether that was worth it. DRX?
That was...
Oh, and it's also sustain versus not sustain. It's just bad.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused, but it seems like they consider the exhaust trade worth it at this point in time, so... As it stands, Deft and Keria, they're piling up 3 waves. Now, they could actually go for a cheater recall here if they wanted. Teddy and Effort already missing some HP and some mana. And so if they just hard shove in this 3rd wave, they get 19 CS, Aphelios backs up, he recalls, he gets a call. And Keria can recall, get a control ward. And at that point, they're just in a really, really good position. But you can see they're not actually hard shoving this wave. So they're going to lose the opportunity to do so. And now, the only difference that ends up happening is you stay for wave 4, and you get chip damage onto the turret. But had you cheatered, you pull wave 4, wave 5, wave 6, you have autonomy and control of the lane, you have superior sustain, better items, better trade potency, and the opponent's options are restricted. But it seems like what they want to do is convert the mid pressure into an attempted dive down here, but Cuz is reading it.
Yeah, he's waiting. Lying in wait is the Troll. Spear is going to go wide, but Chovy's now making his way in. Picking that card, Cuz eventually shows himself, and the pillar not going to be quite enough there. Make It Rain comes down, Keria not going to take the double up damage, but I don't know how Keria threaded that one, as Teddy takes a lot, but is going to survive for now.
Well, this sets DRX a little bit behind because you can see Chovy actually misses some minions, some EXP in mid, and this came at a cost. Now, yes, Teddy likewise did miss some CS, but he was getting the EXP.
Yep.
Pyosik is now up 2 camps on the Trundle.
Double scuttles as well.
Yeah, double
Pyosik. But, you know, you expect that in this matchup. You're not going to have Cuz bullying around Nidalee in the earlier levels.
The other thing is that Nidalee, the way that you want to assess this matchup is if she's not permanently ahead by about a level and a half, she's doing something wrong.
Okay.
And Deft and Keria, I mean, they continue to do this pattern where if you play through all the lines, it's just not as ideal. They keep slow pushing the waves, crashing them into the turret and not really achieving a whole bunch. And so if you're Misfortune, if you're Yuumi, you're happy. You feel completely fine with what's happening.
Right now behind just a little bit as far as the farm is concerned. That's why when you look up top, DRX are ahead by about 500. Like you say, LS, like this is all about the slow burn. This is very T1. It doesn't really matter unless they fall catastrophically behind what happens in this early game, because they're very confident in their team fighting and the way that this match is going to go. I think this man here in the mid lane is going to be very, very important for how this is going to go. Faker with the teleport in hand at the moment, so doesn't quite have cleanse or anything like that. If Chovy was going to set up some sort of kill, which you can do. There's a lot of damage that comes out in burst between Nidalee and Twisted Fate. Not something that DRX are going for at the moment, but should be something that's on the minds of T1.
And T1 are sitting pretty much everywhere, although top lane Kana is having a bit of a rough time. Didn't totally see how the early levels went, but nonetheless.
Certainly seems like something that is working out okay for DRX, though. I feel like the practice that Doran put in is working, because I believe he'd been solo killed by now last time we saw this particular matchup between the two. I believe it was Aatrox. It was Aatrox versus On. Exactly the same. This time around, Doran doing a better job, so shout out to him. Faker here in the mid lane. As Faker generally does, he has the lane in a very nice position.
Yep.
And Chovy's cycling to try and get his teleport back available again. Does so. Goshik's down here. They do know exactly where everyone is. And now, with Destiny and Gate available, there's an opportunity for the Twisted Fate to get down there. But instead, they're going to read Faker's movements and allow Chovy to get inside track on this mid lane and the added farm.
And well, bit of a trade coming in from Teddy and Effer, and all that they're doing here is they're trying to utilize Cuz.
They're going on 2 versus 3 at the moment. Yeah, there it is. Chovy's going to make his way down. That's a great stun, and First Blood goes over to Chovy. Faker now teleporting in exactly the wrong position and whiffs the ultimate. Deft picks up that kill, and DRX are off to a roaring start.
Well, DRX now with that kind of a kill. I mean, MF is losing all of the CS down here in bottom. They're going to manage to also get themselves the dragon, and Kana is getting clapped up here.
That's what happens, man. Lane. All of that practice, the XP farming, as Chovy called it. And now they're 3,000 gold ahead. This is exactly the kind of lead that we were saying DRX needed. They need to keep going. They need to keep pushing, but this is a great sign.
Yeah, it is. And the jungle gap is definitely present so far in this game. Nidalee almost at her jungle item, which is going to be really big. And now Chovy, Merktreads, and Rod of Ages. And it seemed like T1 actually anticipated this play was coming, because they had Faker ready to do the TP, but just not really in a good position. Very easy to lock up, and then Faker uncharacteristically whiffing his ult, but even if he landed it, nothing would happen.
No. It does a bit of damage onto Deft, that's about it. Might deny him the kill. Having a look at what Chovy was doing. Oh, that is some LS versus positioning right there as well.
Well, managed to get the kill. And they find themselves with a 2,500 gold lead as well as an Ocean, and they roll really good. Cloud second.
Light Vigil comes down though. Teddy has to flash, and then DRX say that's all they really wanted. It is an ultimate traded for 2 summoner spells, so you'll probably take that if you did DragonX. Now it looks like Teddy's looking to go back home as well. Deft will clear out this minion wave just fine. Currently, it's close to 1,000 gold in the lead for Deft down here bottom lane, and he hasn't yet picked up this turret plate. Grabs it now. It's going to be even more. That's bad news. 2 items is very important for the Aphelios, and also for the Misfortune. Whoever gets there first is certainly going to be feeling much better, and DRX need it. As Deft throws out his Crescendum Severum combo just to do all of that close range damage.
And Deft is doing a pretty good job in the CS department right now. 90 at 9 minutes.
It's not bad at all. And 20 CS ahead of Teddy is just huge. I mean, Teddy has been one of our most agricultural players that we've had in the LCK. In fact, holds the record for most CS ever got in a game of League of Legends competitively ever. And no one will ever break that record. It's like 1,300. It's just not happening.
And this is, I mean, this game is really starting to get a little bit out of control because Nidalee now has the Rift Herald. And she was able to solo it by herself without needing any assistance from laners. And so no one really got harmed by the Herald capture. Nidalee's also up 2 levels, so yeah, basically performing as expected for the matchup. Yeah, even a little bit better, all things considered. Has the jungle item, picked up a ruby crystal as the next item, and Deft is going to get a second turret plate. So, I mean, this is a...
Whoa, final chapter comes in. There's the bullet time. Deft has heal, almost available, but has to flash. It's not quite off cooldown, so that's a free flash being gathered there.
Yeah.
Trade for 2 ultimates. But still, absolutely worth it if you're a T1 fan. Deft overstaying just a little.
And so now Teddy and Effort going to manage to pick all of this stuff up, but I really feel like the damage has been done. Another contributor to the CS, or the gold lead right now is, remember, Twisted Fate's passive. And I'm unsure what it's at right now.
Probably a fair bit, as Chovy's just been cycling towards his teleport a lot. But using heal in lane ain't bad, to be perfectly honest.
Someone might be able to correct me from the collective if I'm wrong here. Did you know that Twisted Fate's card rotates at 111 BPM?
No.
Yeah, pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really impressive. I don't know what that means necessarily, but
if you could count, if you could keep count, you can always know what color card's gonna come.
Oh right, yeah. No, I remember there was a video about that, and it does. It's got an internal counter.
Yeah.
I've never been able to follow it. My sense of rhythm's okay. My memory, utterly terrible, and I get distracted easily. I wonder whether Chovy knows exactly which card's going to come up at any given time.
Well, Goran is doing a really good job up here in top lane. 120 at 12 minutes.
Yeah, he's smashing it. And it's not what we're expecting. This is the matchup that Canna should be feeling a lot better in.
Now, this is the only thing that is a bit surprising, is that bot and top keep perma-shoving when Destiny gets
surprising, it's DRX.
Well, yeah, it is DRX. So, Destiny Gate not really getting utilized. They're not actively looking for it, and that just has to come down with lane manipulation. Deft is going to shove in this wave one more time, and they're going to allocate all of the gold into Aphelios.
Not bad. He's the main scaling proponent of this composition, and for that reason, you need to accelerate him as much as you can to make him relevant at the times where the rest of his team is. I think it's a really smart decision from DRX, and there it is, the 610 gold, taking down that last plate and the turret. Teddy also having to vacate that brush, as Pureshik will easily take down this Cloud Drake, and we're heading towards some mountains. Not exactly the Drake that DRX were looking for, but they're honestly, I mean, if they haven't basically won the game before Dragon Soul, then, you know, it's probably going to be all over, as Deft does use the heal. Teleport's coming in all over the map right now as You and Me gets the Yuumi onto Cuz. There's the Ornhorn. Deft going to get knocked up, singled out, not destroyed just yet, but Cuz goes over and bops him. Now Carrier is golden and delicious for T1 as they get 2 swift kills. Some overextension for DRX. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, you have to wonder why they're doing that, because getting the bot tier 2 turret, if you pulled all 5 players aside and said, you know, from this game state, is 500 gold do or die? Are you gonna lose over 500 gold? The answer would probably be a unanimous no.
Yeah.
So why feel so compelled to try to capture that turret, and ends up biting them a little bit? So 4,000 gold lead now, and T1, they're going to be able to actually fight and contest by the time that 3rd dragon comes up. And that's a Mountain Drake, which is very, very good for the champions they have on their team. So,
yeah, not great for DRX, fantastic for T1.
Yes.
Exactly right.
As this is just a really bread and butter kill. Not a whole lot. Deft really couldn't do anything. Tried to almost cast his ultimate. Even if he had, it would not have done anything. And you can see Chovy even indecisive, making his way over, slow to push back the wave. And
Okay, that's a shockwave. Carrier
get
just has to
Furious
flash, and Deft even throws out his ultimate. So Faker turning around, got his eye in, I believe. You and me will keep Yumi safe. And Kyoshik not going to go 1v1 or 1v2 plus a cat on a book. Deft has a couple of capes now, so maybe that's going to help him feel better as far as that overextension is concerned. And DRX are by no means stifled, but any sort of slowdown is really bad, especially against T1 and the compositions that are involved in this game. As Doran continues to push, gold is still much higher for Deft in comparison to Teddy. Teddy looks like he's just taking a backseat. This is going to be about whether he can line up the bullet times and whether they can just assassinate Deft with all of the AoE ultimates and massive amounts of CC in these team fights. And it will be hard for Deft to be functional if this game gets too much further out of DRX's control.
And, well, T1 are really in such a comfortable position right now as Doran is shoving in bot lane, but not a whole lot is going to be able to be achieved from this game state. So 2 minutes to keep scaling up, keep getting more items. Horn, really close. Chovy.
Yeah, he's in trouble. Gets his gold card down. Faker does have the ulti, and Chovy's going to flash it, but Cuz Flash has been on top of him.
Yeah.
Stunned up for a while, but it looks like Cuz is going to survive, and Carrier not quite there in time.
So they do end up trading flashes across the board. So Faker and Trundle, or Faker and Cuz will not have that available for the Mountain Drake fight, but neither will Twisted Fate.
Yep, he will have Destiny Gate though, even though his teleport is off, is on cooldown.
So Flash Gold card will not be available by then, and the gold lead is dissipated to about 3,000.
Yeah.
And so DRX at one point they had it at 5K, but this is really where the Sinner comp starts to slow down, and it is so important for them to win the Mountain Drake fight and get that Mountain Dragon to threaten Soul Point. Because if they lose this, it's not just that they lose one Mountain Dragon. It's also that, well, now they're still 2 dragons away from Soul Point, which is an extra 10 minutes T1 would have to scale up, get ornaments,
absolutely,
and get more and more items. And we take a look at this replay here. Pillar comes out, and right there, Shockwave used.
Cuz cancels the auto attack, but actually it doesn't really matter. As Fake's going to take down the top outer turret, but they'll trade it for the outer in mid lane. Definitely an incredibly highly valued turret for a Twisted Fate Italy composition. You can understand why they just let Shirley go ballistic on the top side of the map.
And right now, Faker, he actually picks up Morello. And normally, I would be pretty against Morello this early on, even though there's an Atrox, even though there's an Italy. And the reason is because obviously Atrox has active healing, but he's not super, super strong yet. There's no death stance, etc. However, this is the most power Faker can get right now. What the hell?
That was scouting. That was a scouting ultimate from Canna. Just try to get his ram in the brush. He was calling his ram.
What was that?
To be perfectly honest, I'm not a wizard. I can't read his mind. The Mountain Drake has been started. Should be a 50-50 here as Cuz has made his way into the pit. Canna getting stunned up there for a moment as Doran gets himself around the side. Zoomies do heal up Cuz quite a lot. Now the rest of DRX looking for their opportunity. Final chapter comes down, but very defensively. And it looks like DRX are just happy to poke. They've got wild cards, and they do have the long-range Q out of this Calibrum. But bullet time comes down. Carrier's not going to find it. Oh no, it's a disaster for DRX. Thought that he might be able to thread the needle on it. But Chovy going to use his stopwatch, and it is taken. So Soul Point does belong to DRX, but they lose Chovy. And now Canna is on the chase. That's a fantastic interruption there as Moonlight Vigil comes down. Deft with gigantic damage. Double kill out of nowhere. And now DRX find themselves in a 3v3, but not quite able to settle the score with an ace or anything. But evening out that trade is brilliant on top of getting the Drake.
And, oh man, if T1 had the Ornn ultimate at that team fight, this would have been a really easy win for them. However, Keria, even though he seemed like he was playing for T1 there, it didn't seem to matter in the end. Chovy goes golden. He eventually gets brought down, but he bought enough time. How much time you're asking? About 200 years.
Yeah.
So, Dev, oh man, Moonlight Vigil into, I don't even...
Just infernum damage, I guess, is what you call it. I don't know. It's pretty disgusting. It's before Runan's Hurricane's even done, so don't worry, guys, that gets worse. Now he's completed it, actually, as we go back to live. And we were talking about the fact that Def needs accelerating. Well, he's well and truly accelerated. He's coming up to his third item, and Teddy almost has an Infinity Edge on top of his Essence Reaver.
Well, this is definitely very sad because it really looked like T1 was just about to swing the game back into absolute control. And
of course they could still, right?
I'm really trying to wonder what caused Kana to press the R, unless he was trying to time a summoner.
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
The R key in Korean is Giok, so I'm not even sure what he would be typing with that letter. I can understand flashing, because that on the Korean keyboard it's...
Which one is that? Is that...
That's the
K?
I don't know the name of it. It's the O looking.
Oh, right. So
letter.
like the start of most words.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
well,
the O one, and that one's confusing, guys, if you're playing
it's
at home,
silent
because
if
it doesn't make a
NG
noise. Yeah.
if it's at the last.
Yeah, it's a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Not actually confusing. You can learn how the Korean
The alphabet's very
letter
easy. You
system
can learn it in
actually,
about 30 minutes.
It is very smart.
Yeah.
The way it works, it's logical. Something that we haven't really figured out with the English language. Not a lot of logic in this one.
Sass Atrox. I mean Atrox.
Yeah, there we go. You mean...
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Honestly, that is my favorite pronunciation.
I know.
His name.
It just takes a lot of nuance.
And also, yeah, your accent really brings it out.
Thanks, man. It's in fact the best thing I can say with my accent, I think.
Yeah. I definitely agree.
All right, well, we're checking out some of the stats here, and Deft is having a good game so far. Close to 50% of his team's damage is not bad as an Aphelios at around the 20-minute mark, because generally you come online a little bit later. But things have been working out here for DRX, and you can see that this is where things get serious. I mean, Deft's only goal is to win Worlds before he retires, and he's been playing for a long time. Like,
yeah.
This guy...
2013.
Yeah.
He debuted in LCK, I believe, though, in 2014.
2014 on
yeah.
Samsung Blue, yeah.
Yeah.
But he's been so close to the top his entire career, whether he's in Korea or in China.
Yeah, yeah.
Samsung Blue at Worlds in 2014, 2015 for EDG. 2016, I believe, also for EDG.
Oh, no, 20...
And then 2017 back to Korea.
2013 Samsung Blue.
2014 because that's when Samsung White won Worlds, and Blue and White were both there. Maybe he was also there on...
Yeah.
I don't know. It was quite a... Yeah, no, we do need the historian.
Yeah.
Maybe the collective knows. I don't
know. I'm going with 2013 Alice.
Yeah. It was about 200 years ago.
Yeah. Not a big deal.
Ping-ponging a little bit, though, and that does not bode well for DRX.
25 seconds, and honestly, this is the part of the game where you just flip it.
Oh, 100%.
You flip it, you try to get the soul. Even if you lose the fight, you win the war.
Well, there's the dredge line to come out from Keria. Keeps himself alive for a very long time. Chovy off to the side looking for Teddy. Bullet time. Not there to be laid on top of the Ornn, and these spears are landing. And DRX not taking nearly enough damage. Even the Primal Surge is starting to do so much work. T1 still with some buttons available. Bullet time and Shockwave still there. There is going to be another volley. Chovy does have his gold card at the ready. Deft has Moonlight Vigil. They are all stacked up and ready to take that damage as Crescendum Calibrum is so much from a long distance for the Aphelios. You can see Cuz bearing the brunt of that one. Shockwave completely whiffs. And there's the dredge line. It's going to land onto Faker, who cleanses, flashes, gets himself the heck out of there, and T1 have to give up the Mountain Soul.
And well, that is probably going to be the end of the game. And I say that just because 12% amped the resistances on their champions, plus that Mountain Soul is going to invalidate so much of T1's damage. I mean, Misfortune, her entire setup is just being reduced so dramatically now at this point. Even though it's only a 5,000 gold lead, yes, they have ornaments on their team too. I just really don't think it's going to matter. They don't even have one on Faker yet. And we take a look at how this fight transpired, and again, Ornn doesn't have ult.
I mean, that's actually really hard for Faker, right? He
Yeah.
isn't. No one else can actually initiate that fight.
No, right.
So he had to throw out a haymaker, and
So-
unfortunately, DRX knew that.
Very, very unfortunate what ended up happening. It was because they used the Ornn Horn and they tried to get Aatrox, the tankiest member, and also even the most slippery, in mid lane, and just did not have any way to really lock him down and do anything. So T1 now going to be in a very unfortunate situation.
Especially with Def now picking up a QSS. He's not going to be as worried about the final chapter or anything like that. And can get out of a bit of the CC. I guess, you know, technically, I mean, it is really just the stun out of the Yuumi ultimate that he's super worried about, but you can get rid of a lot of the slows and things like that that can be a problem. And we'll also have some lifesteal in the build once the Mercurial Scimitar does come in. I actually really like the Death Stance that Mystic put together, as we have another fight here. Cuz caught out of position with a Yuumi available as well, so is a little bit tankier. Sidestep is great out of Carrier, but Doran happy to soak. Is now Chovy off to the side. They've corralled T1 yet again. Now Cuz down to about half health. The wild cards are there, and I love how DRX are slipping around this fight instead of actually just diving straight in, as Anna has to flash. They're underneath their turret. So much AoE comes out. 200 years worth of damage now, as Def will take down Faker. Canna, the next one on the chopping block, as Doran does get his revenge after being solo killed 4 times the last time these teams met in the LCK. That is but a distant memory, and the XP farming obviously did its job. As this inhibitor turret's taken down, and DRX, they're not looking to waste any time at all. They might just be able to end right here, but it is 5 versus 3 plus 2 Nexus turrets.
Well, they got the Mountain Soul, so...
Yeah, that's a good point. That's going to take down Teddy. That's a you and me that you didn't want to do, and that is the ace here for DRX. 27.5 minutes, and DRX have toppled the Titans and won game 1 against T1.
And, well, DRX managed to... I don't want to say steal that away, but they managed to bring it home and close it after almost throwing it away in mid-game.
I don't think it was the kind of mistakes that DRX were making last season, though. I think that if you're a DRX fan, you can walk away from this game feeling pretty pleased, because oftentimes when the first mistake happens, they sort of just stop doing stuff.
Yeah.
And that sort of happened, but it happened for like 4 minutes, and then they got themselves back on track. And I think that when you've got like Chovy on Twisted Fate, I think it makes DRX very, very scary, because he has so much agency and can control the team so effectively with that particular, with a champion like that, right?
Yeah.
And Chovy had a great game. I think Deft was phenomenal. I think we're getting some whiffs of old Deft, the man that used to look like he could just hard carry for multiple teams in a row. And looking forward to seeing what they can do in game number 2. But T1, this was an example of DRX getting a composition that is certainly something that you have to sort of roll the dice on very early. And they managed to get a pretty high number at the start of this one.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's over for T1 by any means. If they're good at anything, they're good at sustaining through situations like this. Yeah, Def did a bit.
Def did, I mean, sorry, my eyesight. I thought, you know.
It's almost 50%.
Yeah,
it's like 46% of his team's damage. It's silly.
Well, that was pretty good Aphelios damage performance, for sure. And T1, unfortunately, they lost mid lane, they lost top lane, they lost bot lane, so they did get lane kingdom.
They did, but they horrifically lost top lane. I think Doran needs a shout out here.
That was definitely, yeah, Doran really had a very impressive performance. Kana just seemed lost in the game, and then he literally threw the third Drake away.
Yeah, in the form of just pressing R for fun, I guess. Might have been
I guess,
scouting. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe the Ram just wants to go where the Ram wants to go.
Yeah.
But we want to go to a short break, and when we come back, we'll see whether T1 can tie it all up, because I have a feeling that it might happen. 3 games, the dream. We'll see you after the break.